challenges you with the ultimate video game, the Sega Master System.
Hang on.
With more accurate control, more detailed graphics, more levels of play.
Awesome.
The Sega Master System comes with power-based 2 control pads, light phaser, and 2 great video games, Hang On and Safari Hunt.
Gotcha.
And with other games like Ramble, Outrun, and Choplifter, the excitement never stops. The Sega Master System. The challenge will always be there.
Sega released the Sega Master System in the US, but it was known as the Sega Mark III in Japan.
Mark III meaning it was the third pretty quick attempt by Sega to create a successful home console.
The Sega Master System, we really get kind of like the first competition in this new generation of home console wars. And you know what? It's a fantastic little system that never really got its due.
I gotta imagine that only the weird kids had this. You know, these are the kind of weird kids that would have a TurboGrafx 16 in the early 90s, right?
The reason I chose the Sega Master System over the Nintendo was because
You're delirious.
No, because I really liked the Sega games in the arcade.
So you had ports like Outrun would come out on this. You had Fantasy Zone. You'd have your Shinobis on here.
This made the Sega Master System essentially the arcade system.
The control pads kind of sucked though.
Yeah, they were a little lacking with that little control, cord coming out the side.
Yeah, it came out the side. They did change it so it comes out the top in the later revision.
They did.
You can't pause on the controller.
There's no start button or select button on the Master System controller. You had to go to the system and hit the pause button on it.
From a technical standpoint, the Master System was superior to the NES.
It could do a lot of the things that the NES had to have special chips inside the cartridge to do.
They had 3D glasses. And you know what? It worked.
Let's face it, pretty much all Master System box art is crap.
My favorite is pro wrestling with a wrestler holding his whole own head in his arms.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's funny.
You look at the NES games, it's very visual and it tells you what's happening in that game.
You have no possible way of knowing what the game's about. None.
Stop damaging my games.
The pack-in game for the Master System, when it first was released in 1986, was actually, a twofer. It was Hang On and Safari Hunt.
Safari Hunt, which, while not as good as Duck Hunt, at least got you a chance to use the phaser.
Safari Hunt is so much better than Duck Hunt. Way better.
Safari Hunt was a light gun game that used Sonic's light phaser to shoot animals.
Who doesn't like shooting monkeys with a gun?
I like it.
I like this better than the NES Zapper.
There was a built-in game on a lot of Master Systems. It's called Snail Maze. Some people just call it the Snail game, but it's called Snail Maze. And basically, I think you hold up on the controller and press buttons 1 and 2 in the BIOS screen, and a little Snail Maze comes in.
Snail Maze is exactly what it sounds like. It's a timed maze game where you move a snail through the maze.
The unfortunate part about the Sega Master System, though, is because Nintendo had an illegal stranglehold on third-party publishers, most of the games in the US, all 114 of them, were just Sega first-party games and, arcade ports.
Sega only managed to get 2 third-party developers, Activision and Parker Brothers.
Unfortunately, you didn't have like a Mega Man game coming out on the Master System in the US. You didn't have games like Ninja Gaiden, so that's what really hurt the Master System, which is a shame because this is a fun little console.
The Master System, its legacy is far beyond that of just Japan and the United States.
In Europe, it was huge and bigger than the NES, and in South America, particularly Brazil, it was enormous.
They reminisce on the Sega Master System, much like that of how we reminisce of, in the United States, on the NES.
That's respectable. Come on.
It's a moment in time for Sega and a moment in time for the video gaming world in the late 80s that you got to see this difference in styles, but also a progression of where gaming was going.